So, hello, I'm Bence and Nanay. I'm professor of philosophy at the University of Antwerp and senior research associate at Peterhouse, Cambridge University. And this is just an extended abstract, a visual extended abstract of my talk, Perceptual Content and the Content of Mental Imagery, for the Online Consciousness Conference. So as I said, this is an extended abstract. This is not the full paper, not the full talk, so don't treat it like that. This is really just to tell you what the paper is about. If you like the topic or the structure of the argument, which is the most I can do here, then please read the paper. So, the question I'm asking in this paper is this: why is it that perception and mental imagery seem to be very similar? So you see a plane, or you close your eyes and you visualize a plane, very similar phenomenal character. How can we explain that? That's the question, and there seem to be the two major strategies there. One of them is sometimes called the similar content view, and the other one is called the dependency thesis. The similar content view is very simple. The phenomenal character of perception and mental imagery is similar because their content is similar. The determinacy thesis is following a different route for various reasons. One of them is maybe some people don't want to talk about content, perceptual content. Maybe some people want to say that there are no such thing as perceptual representations, in which case the similar content view is just not going to work. So in that case, you have to go some other ways, and the proponents of the determinacy thesis, they do go another way, and what they want to say is that, well, mental imagery represents perception, and thereby inherits its phenomenal character. So the aim of the paper is not to criticize either of these views, especially not to criticize dependency thesis, although it could be taken to be doing that as well. My aim is to give you a more specific version of the similar content view, and show that that is preferable to both to other versions of the similar content view and to the dependency thesis because of its explanatory advantages. So that's what the paper is about. Now, what is this positive view of the similar content view? So know that the similar content view is not really a theory, or it's not an account. It's a strategy to try to explain similarities in phenomenology in terms of similarity in content. In order for it to be an actual theory or an actual account, you need to actually give some kind of precise formulation of what you take to be perceptual content and what you take to be the content of mental imagery. That's exactly what I'm trying to do here. So my view on perceptual content, I don't take that to be controversial at all. So it's like this: you visually attribute. So I'm going to talk about vision mainly. You visually attribute properties to the perceived scene. Now, some of these properties are more determinable, some of them are more determinate, some of them are super determinate, by which what is meant is that, or maybe they're super determinate. What is meant is that they are determinants without any further determinants. Now, what is very important here is the role of attention. Attention is trying to make, or in fact makes, the attribute property more determinate. So if you are attending to a specific property of a specific object, then your perceptual state is trying to make or making the determinacy of this property higher. I'm going to stop for a moment. And we're back with different lighting conditions. So there are a lot of clarifications on this in the paper, what is meant and what is not meant by attention, but that's the general picture, and I don't really take that to be controversial at all. There are some empirical findings that point in the same direction, and there are philosophical ways of cashing this out other than mine. Now, okay, so that's perceptual content. What's the content of mental imagery? The content of mental imagery, what I want to say about the content of mental imagery is that that's exactly the same. Structurally, it's exactly the same. It's also the attribution of property, of kind of quasi-perceptual attribution of properties to an imagined scene. And what? But then how can we explain the differences between perception and mental imagery? And the way we can explain the differences is this. The extra determinacy comes from elsewhere. In the case of perception, the extra determinacy, so again, remember that the attention is trying to make or making the attributed properties more determinate. In the case of perception, that extra determinacy comes from the visual scene itself. you can just look and thereby making the attributed property more determinate. In the case of mental imagery, it can't come from the scene itself. It cannot come from sensory stimulation, because there is no sensory stimulation, or at least not one that would correspond to the imagined scene. So it comes from various top-down factors like expectations and memory and our beliefs. So again, the structure of the content is the same. The only difference is the way this content changes in response to changes in attention, and more specifically, the way the attributed properties become more determinate, where this extra degree of determinacy comes from. So that's the view. Okay, recording conditions are not great, so I'm going to wrap this up really quickly. So that is the view, and the rest of the paper is just trying to point out that this view is preferable to both other versions of the similar content view. Why? Because the emphasis on attention is capable of explaining phenomenal differences and similarities in such a way that other ways of cashing out the similar content view does not. Why? Because attention is famously, we know this from the inattentional blindness experiments, famously very much influences phenomenal character. And the other, there's the kind of two interesting empirical findings that I'm arguing that my view is more suitable to explain than the other views. And they are about the importance of eye movements in mental imagery, as well as in perception. Eye movements is not the same as attention. You can shift attention without shifting eye movements, but they go together very often. So this is something that my view is very well suited to explain. Other views, not so much. And the other one is about the relatively evolutionarily ancient nature of mental imagery. We know that even pigeons and other very simple vertebrates have mental imagery. I argue that my view can explain this better than others. Okay, I'm looking forward to your comments, and please read the paper. Thanks.